Are you alone right now in the dark? Perfect. Tonight we unravel 3 real-life night stories that will send shivers down your spine. Stay with us because the final story will blow your mind. Let's begin with the mysterious disappearance of Brian Schaffer. So, lock your doors, turn off the lights, and prepare yourself. Our first story takes us to Columbus, Ohio. It's April Fool's Day 2006, the night before Easter break, a night when college campuses should be buzzing with excitement. Brian Schaffer, a bright and charismatic 27-year-old medical student at Ohio State University, was out celebrating with friends. They started their night at a local bar, Ugly Tuna Saloona, enjoying drinks and laughter. Surveillance cameras captured Brian and his friends entering the bar around 9 p.m. As the night wore on, the group bar hopped, ending up at a place called The Tavern. It was here at The Tavern around 1:55 a.m. that Brian was last seen. His friends, already outside, assumed he would catch up, but Brian never did. When his friends couldn't reach him, they reported him missing. The police initially treated it as a typical college student disappearance. But as days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, the truth became terrifyingly clear. Brian Schaffer had vanished without a trace. What made Brian's case so baffling was the location of his last known sighting, inside the tavern. Police reviewed hours of surveillance footage, meticulously analyzing every entrance and exit. The footage showed Brian entering the bar, but he was never seen leaving. Theorists and armchair detectives have spent years dissecting the footage, looking for clues. Brian's phone never pinged a tower after his disappearance, and his credit cards remained untouched. Brian's disappearance remains unsolved to this day, a chilling reminder that even in the most ordinary of circumstances, the unthinkable can occur. Our next story takes us to a remote farmhouse in Bavaria, Germany, a place called Hinterkaifeck. It's 1922, and the world is still reeling from the horrors of World War I. The Gruber family, consisting of Andreas Gruber and his wife Kazilia, their widowed daughter Victoria Gabriel and her 2 young children, Kazilia and Joseph, along with the family maid Maria Baumgartner, lived a simple life on their farm. But something strange had been happening at Hinterkaifeck in the days leading up to the murders. Andreas had reported finding a set of unfamiliar footprints in the snow leading up to the barn, but none leading away. He also mentioned hearing footsteps in the attic and finding a strange newspaper in the house that no one claimed to have purchased. Then, on the evening of March 31st, 1922, the unthinkable happened. One by one, the family members were lured into the barn and brutally murdered with a mattock. The killer then entered the house and killed the maid, Maria, and the young Joseph, who was asleep in his cot. The gruesome discovery wasn't made until 4 days later when a neighbor went to check on the family. The scene that greeted him was horrific. The 6 bodies lay scattered in the barn, covered in hay. The investigation that followed was one of the most extensive in German history at the time. Over 100 people were interviewed, but no one was ever arrested or charged with the crimes. The Hinterkaifeck murders remain unsolved to this day, a haunting reminder of the darkness that can lurk in the most unexpected places. The brutality of the crime, the isolation of the farmhouse, and the lack of a clear motive continue to fascinate and terrify people around the world. Our final story takes us to Greenbrier County, West Virginia, to the year 1897. It's a tale of love, betrayal, and ghostly revenge. This is the story of Zona Heaster-Shue, a young woman who returned from the dead to expose her killer. Zona, known to her loved ones as Elva, had been married for only a few months to a man named Edward Stribling Trout Shue, known as Trout, when she died suddenly and mysteriously. Her death was initially attributed to everlasting faint by the local doctor, a diagnosis that raised eyebrows even in those days. But it was Elva's mother, Mary Jane Heaster, who refused to believe that her daughter's death was natural. Mary Jane claimed that Elva's spirit visited her in a series of vivid dreams. In these dreams, Elva's ghost revealed that Trout had murdered her by breaking her neck in a fit of jealous rage. She even described how Trout had turned her head, a detail confirmed by the undertaker. Armed with this ghostly testimony, Mary Jane convinced the local prosecutor to exhume Elva's body and conduct an autopsy. The results were shocking. Despite the initial misdiagnosis, the autopsy revealed that Elva had indeed been murdered. The cause of death? A broken neck. Trout was immediately arrested and charged with Elva's murder. During his trial, the prosecution presented the evidence: the broken neck, the inconsistent stories from Trout, and the compelling testimony of Mary Jane Heaster and her ghostly visions. The jury found Trout guilty of murder, and he was sentenced to life in prison. There you have it, 3 chilling tales from the darkest corners of reality. Stories that remind us that sometimes, the line between our world and the unknown can be terrifyingly thin. If you enjoyed tonight's descent into darkness, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel for more spine-chilling stories. And if you dare, check out my other videos. You might just find yourself face to face with the unexplainable. Now go get some sleep, if you can.